The doorbell's chime sliced through the quiet of my Saturday morning, sharp and unyielding, like a blade through my chest. I opened the door to find a man I'd never met, his eyes blazing with a fury that told me he knew me. Or at least thought he did. "You're the one keeping her trapped," he snarled, stepping close enough for me to smell the stale coffee on his breath. "And I'm here to make sure you let her go." I stood frozen, my hand still gripping the doorknob, as the world tilted beneath me. My wife, Sarah, had been distant for months. Late nights at work, cryptic texts she'd dismiss with a laugh, a new perfume I didn't recognize clinging to her skin. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her demanding job as a graphic designer, to the slow erosion of a marriage approaching its 10th year. But this man, with his clenched fists and venomous words, was no stranger to her. He was the shadow I'd sensed but refused to name. Sarah and I had built a life that felt like a watercolor painting, soft blended hues of love and routine, brushed over years of shared dreams. We'd met in college, bonded over late-night diner runs, and whispered promises of a future we'd shape together. Her laugh used to be my anchor, her touch a compass when I lost my way. But lately, her eyes had stopped meeting mine. Her smiles clipped and mechanical. I'd noticed the way she'd angle her phone away from me, the way she'd linger in the bathroom after a shower, as if guarding secrets in the steam. I told myself it was nothing, that love could weather silence. I was wrong. The first real crack appeared 3 months ago. I'd found a receipt in her purse for a dinner at a restaurant we'd never been to, dated for a night she'd claimed to be working late. I confronted her, my voice trembling with a mix of hope and dread. "Just a client dinner," she'd said, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't name, guilt maybe or defiance. I wanted to believe her, so I did. I buried the doubt, convinced myself that trust was a choice, not a feeling. But doubt is a seed, and once planted, it grows roots you can't ignore. The man at my door, his name, I later learned, was Ethan, didn't wait for me to respond. "She doesn't love you anymore," he spat, his voice low and deliberate, like he'd rehearsed it. "She's been with me for 6 months. You're just too weak to see it." Each word landed like a punch, bruising the fragile hope I'd clung to. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to shove him back and reclaim my life. But my throat tightened, my limbs heavy with a truth I'd been dodging for too long. I stepped back, closed the door without a word, and let the silence swallow me. Inside, the house felt foreign, the air thick with betrayal. Sarah was at her sister's, or so she'd said. I sank onto the couch, staring at the framed photo of us on our 5th anniversary. Her head tilted against mine, both of us smiling like we'd cracked the code to forever. The memory felt like a lie now, a cruel script written by someone else. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I just sat there, replaying Ethan's words, each one carving deeper into the wound. When Sarah came home that evening, her face paled at the sight of me, as if she could sense the storm brewing in my chest. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply asked, "Who is Ethan?" Her eyes widened, then fell, and in that moment, I saw the truth she'd hidden for months. She stammered, tried to weave a story, but the threads unraveled with every word. She admitted it, 6 months of lies, stolen moments, a love she claimed had just happened. I listened, my heart a hollow drum, as she spoke of passion, of feeling alive again, of things I'd failed to give her. Each confession was a shard of glass, cutting deeper than Ethan's threats. I could have fought. I could have demanded she leave, or begged her to stay. Instead, I made a choice that felt like both surrender and rebellion. I walked away. Not from the house, but from the version of us I'd believed in. I packed a bag, left a note that said only, "I need time," and drove to a motel an hour away. The road blurred through tears I hadn't realized I was holding back. I didn't want revenge or even answers. I wanted to remember who I was before I let love blind me. In the motel's dim light, I stared at my reflection in a cracked mirror, wondering how I'd missed the signs, how I'd let trust become my cage. Sarah's betrayal wasn't just a wound. It was a mirror, showing me a man who'd settled for half-truths to keep the peace. I stayed silent when Ethan came, not out of weakness, but because some truths are too heavy to scream. The real fight, I realized, wasn't with him or even her. It was with myself, to rebuild a life that didn't depend on someone else's promises. And as I lay in that creaking bed, the the weight of her betrayal still raw, I whispered to the empty room. I deserve more than a love that lies.